Hey, gang. Welcome back to Nopes and Opes. I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Hyland
Yeah,
and Lancelot. And the set looks a little bit different today. And there's a specific reason for it.
there is.
We're talking about creativity, and Hyland shares some of his artwork, like the lovely painting we have behind us.
No paint. There's only ink.
Okay.
From,
The lovely ink
yeah,
drawing that we have behind us.
Yeah, exactly. Which will be explained. But no, I think for me, this was a personal kind of episode and one that I wanted to do. And Rowan was gracious enough to kind of play along. But I liked it. I thought it turned out really well. And it kind of went exactly as I hoped it would. And I hope that people actually enjoy it. And you do get to see a little bit of artwork, which is a huge honor for me. So I appreciate if you do watch, like, I appreciate the opportunity to show you. So.
Yeah. And we're celebrating 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much to the 1,000 subscribers that we have. We really appreciate it. Please continue to keep watching. And if you ever want to stop watching, you can do that too. Live your own life. But we hope you guys enjoy the episode.
The whole purpose of this is going to be simply going to be kind of a notice and recognition that we got to 1,000 subscribers. And for me, that journey, like I realize there's so many people out there that are just like, guys, 1,000 is so minimal. Like it's absolutely nothing. And in reality, like in the YouTube world, yeah, absolutely. But we also looked at the statistics. And we're like, when you get to 1,000,
you're in the top 10% YouTubers. It's 8.86% of YouTubers or YouTube channels have 1,000 subscribers. So, hey-yo.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a small number, but at the same time,
I also wonder if you make a Gmail account, if it automatically makes a YouTube channel. I don't know. So that could be something to consider.
What do you mean? Okay. Lost.
I lost Thailand.
Lost on the 51-year-old. No, but I've just been thinking about that, and I like the journey to get there has been kind of crazy for me because like I've been counting down. Like I check the little counter all the time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 963. Like 965. Like every time I wake up in the morning and there's like 4 or 5 more, I'm just like, oh, whoa, it's so cool. But it's gotten me to the point where I'm starting to think about like how important this kind of podcast has become and how important the numbers became to me. And I was like, Hyland, is it simply about the numbers? Are you simply interested in the numbers? And like I can happily say that in kind of thinking about this and kind of doing a little bit of soul searching on my own, it's not necessarily about the numbers, right? Like 1,000 subscribers is not that big. I realize that. But it is simply about having an outlet to be creative, to create something that I think is really valuable and something that I'm really proud of and something that brings me a ton of joy. And whether or not people subscribe or not really is kind of irrelevant. Granted, I just spent 5 minutes saying that it is, but like in the overall scheme of things, whether we get to 1,000, whether we get to 10,000, whatever, like I've said from the very beginning, I didn't think we were going to get 3, and I still wanted to continue. And now that we're at 1,000, it's still kind of the same feeling. But at the same time, I kind of want to just like say, hey, well done. I appreciate all of the work that you've done. And then kind of just explore the idea of creativity, creating, and why creativity and creating is important. And then also kind of I've come to a revelation this past week kind of about creativity that I haven't really thought of before. So that's kind of what I have planned.
Okay. I'd also like to say thank you to all of the subscribers. Hey, 1,000, pretty sweet. It's been an interesting journey. We've had a lot of different phases of the podcast, a lot of different setups, which you can see now. Tables back, Lancelot is back over here. It's just exciting overall just to see where we've come from, all the things we've done differently, how the conversations have evolved, and I mean just how strange this whole thing has been. But what's funny is it started off very strange, and now it feels normal. It feels so normal that when I tell people about it, they're like, "What?" And they look at me and they're like, "That's kind of strange." I'm like, "But it's not. It really makes sense." So,
I mean,
um,
it is strange though,
it is
but it's
to a certain
strange in
degree.
like a way that works, I think, really,
It's
really
strange
well.
in a way that makes sense, and
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me.
yeah,
So
and to me,
I'm happy that we have all of you subscribers. And I'm excited to create this podcast, to continue to do this, to have Highland come here, to me go to him, and just, continue making this thing for you guys and for ourselves. I mean, honestly, in kind of a selfish way, I think this is a lot of ways that we kind of just like have a opportunity to sit down and kind of think about things out loud, and maybe people gain something from it, maybe they don't. But to start, I see that you've brought some materials.
some props.
There's
Yeah,
some things going on set.
yeah. There's a lot going
I'm
on
gonna
here.
let you walk us through this.
Yeah, for sure. A little
Yeah,
art show to
yeah,
begin
little art show.
the podcast.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's so like in this whole process and in this journey, and I mean, this has definitely been a journey
oh
for
yeah,
sure. I mean, with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of kind of moments where I was like, no, I don't want to continue on this.
yeah.
And then a lot of moments where even like this weekend driving here, like I came right after school on a Thursday and I was just tired and I was like, ugh. And then I got here and it's just, for me, it's like instantaneous, just like mood shift, right? It's like a total code switch. It's like going from like, ugh, stressed out, da da da. And then it's like, you know what? Like I'm here. We get to record. And for whatever reason, like this weekend hasn't been super like smooth recording wise,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's still like one of the better weekends that I can spend.
Yeah.
Right. And in that sense, there's joy and benefit and like just positive positivity in that, and that in itself is worthwhile. But like hopefully we'll explore some of those kind of contexts and
Yeah.
things in this. But for me, I've just begun to realize like being creative, and this is I'm just gonna put it out there right away. Like I stress being responsible. Like that's the whole idea of the book and taking responsibility. But one of the things that I realized in this past week and kind of thinking about creativity and creating things and creating this podcast is I don't know if it's impossible to take responsibility if you don't create things. I'm not sure about that, but I do know for sure it makes it much, much harder
Yeah.
to take responsibility.
Well, we've also in an episode we talked about how one way for you to take responsibility is through creativity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, like, I've just kind of always been a little bit shy and a little bit hesitant to kind of share some of the things that I create. And a lot of times, like, I have a hard time, even now, like, I won't say I produce art. Like, these right here, the first kind of pictures. And I'm sorry for those that are listening because the first 10 minutes may be a little bit visual.
Well, for those that are listening, if you're on Spotify, you can click a little button and now you can see us visually. Or you could just go back to audio. Apple Podcast and everywhere else. Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. This might give you an excuse just to check out one
Exactly.
of the episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all of these things that I'm going to show you, I still feel a little bit hesitant. Like I don't consider myself an artist or anything, but I do consider myself somebody who creates. And like when I'm feeling good about myself, when I know that things are aligned and when I'm doing the things that I know that I should be doing, and in essence, taking responsibility, this kind of stuff just flows.
Mm.
And I think for me, that's a really important concept because if people want to know if they're on the right path, if people want to know, like, hey, how do I know if I'm doing things correctly? Your creativity, I think, will be a guiding light. If you're doing things the way that you should feel inspired. You should be seeing beauty. You should be wanting to create beautiful things. You should be wanting to put into the world something of your own.
Yeah.
So in that context, again, sorry to the people that are just listening, but these are just what I consider doodles. And these are in chronological order of what I've produced this year so far at the school.
Cool.
And this is just like when I'm thinking or when I'm stressed, it's just a way for me to kind of focus my brain and like if I need to solve a specific problem. But I just start off and I'll draw like these are the circles are my coffee cup. So I just put the circles down and then everything else is just kind of adding like a line here, line there, whatever, and just kind of like repetition and things like that. But I think like for me, these things are super cool. And I like I can see the different days. I can see the different kind of like periods that I'm going through and kind of like what I'm thinking and like the different strokes. But yeah, just like so this is just a way for me to kind of center and focus. But yeah, I just think they're so cool. This is the one I'm working on currently. And also this is a way for me to connect with students as well because a lot of times I will do these and students will come up to me, but also they will want to kind of create with me. And in that sense, like being able to create with another person, there's maybe no better way to bond with somebody,
Yeah.
right? If you create something together, and that ties in well to
Awesome.
this, right? I mean, it's like creating this podcast together has been, I think, so life affirming for me in so many different ways. But okay, on with the art show, and then I'll let Rowan talk a little bit. These are just some of the paintings, and then also this is something also that's super uncomfortable for me, but I want them out of my apartment. So if you see any of these and you want to buy them, by all means, make an offer. They're yours. I'll send them to you. But these are just something that I think are really cool and just something I really enjoy. So this is the first one. And again, these are just things that kind of come to me and just like, oh, there it is. And then it's done. This one, I just tape. I just like it. Okay. Yeah. And then, you can put it away. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm taking up a lot of time right now. All right. Next. And the cool thing about abstract
If you
is,
have anything, feel free to like also comment on what you were going through when you were making this and the thoughts behind it.
well, the cool thing about painting and the cool like actually the really cool thing about doodling is one of the things that I stress with students is when we're creating together, they say, "Oh, I screwed up. I made a mistake." And the cool like that right there is honestly just one big mistake. Right? I didn't want and so then I just started to kind of like mesh all of the colors together and then it turned into one of the cooler paintings that like I know and I just I feel that's so important because like you can see on that one like there's a undertone of some swirls going this way and that's how it started off like I wanted to create kind of like a starry night landscape like a Van Gogh and then it turned into that and I freaking love it but like in essence that's really kind of one big mistake and so I think that's important because, like in life, you just find all of these things like, oh, I screwed this up and I made this mistake. But reality in life, all we got going is you just you just keep going. Like, you just got to keep on, like take what you got and just move forward with it. So that one, the title, I think is super important. But that one hangs above my bed, and the title is called "The Movement of Dreams." And yeah. And that one just every time that I see it before I go to bed, and then every time I see it in the morning, it just puts me in a really, really good mental state. I just enjoy that one. And then this is the last one. This one you're actually seeing the background of another episode. And this one has actually already been sold. But and I don't really have a title for that one. I don't really know the title, but I I love that painting. And that's another cool thing about abstracts is I like if anyone has a definitive way of how that should be presented, please by all means let me know because I don't really know what it is.
And we don't know which way is
Yeah.
the right way up or right way down.
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. I think that ties in nicely to the point of this whole podcast. So that's all I got. But yeah, I just want to kind of talk about creativity, creating. Oh, no.
Can't forget the centerpiece, my
Yeah,
man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So this one's important, and this one we've had in another kind of episode. Yeah. So this one, I just think it's a little bit faded. Like you can see, all of it used to be red. Obviously, I used a couple different markers, and some have kept the red, and some have faded to orange. But so this one's on its way out. But the title of this one is actually, I think, super important. But the title is this is my brain drawing a picture of my brain, and I just think that's interesting because, like, as I kind of go through this process, it is just a matter of, like, you can tell, like, different emotions, you can tell different mental states, you can tell, like, all of the experiences of being a human, and kind of living this life. You can also see in, like, there's some lines that are very, very straight. There's some lines, and I can go through this, and I could tell you, like, on this day I was probably feeling this way. On this day I was probably feeling this way. Some things are very minute, some things are very detailed, some things are more broad. And I just think it's a prime example of kind of the importance of putting yourself, like, allowing yourself to put yourself into this life,
Mm.
like being brave enough to put what is on the inside out into the world,
Mm.
and to create something,
Mm.
and to be willing to, like, put it out into the world and be like, yep, I created that. And some people are going to look at that, like a lot of people have looked, and they're like, that's just chaos. That's just pure, like, madness. Like, what's wrong with you? And then some people look at it and they're like, oh, so cool.
This guy's got schizophrenia.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people look at it. Like, I mean, I think that I've told this story before, but one of the paintings that I did, a girl looked at that and she's like, that's not art. That's just, like, paint that's been dripped onto, like, a piece of whiteboard. And I was like, kind of, yeah, but I still think it's art. And she's like, no, that's not real talent. That's just, like, you, like, dripping some paint. Like, there's real people that do real art. And I was just like, I was at a mental state
Oh.
where I was super fragile, and that just crushed me. Like,
Oof.
I didn't even think about producing anything again for a long, long time, like probably a year,
Wow.
because, like, that just rang, and that just, like, shattered my soul.
Yeah.
That crushed any ability, any desire to take, like, my thoughts and put it out into the world, because it was just like, yeah,
Start to second guess
I'm
yourself.
not a real, like,
No.
I don't do real work. I don't do real art. I don't have real skill. I just have, like, fake, like, nonsense.
Well, I will say, I think you are a fantastic artist. I really do. This has been my favorite one. So I've seen a lot of these when I visited Highland and whatnot, and when we were in Minnesota, we talked about them. But this one is my favorite piece that you've done, and I really do like the other ones. I'm sad that the pink one is gone, that it's been bought, but I might buy one of these. So I would love it if you would make some for the set. It would
Yes,
be great to have
yeah.
in the background.
I'm working right now in my mind. I'm working on the sphere of influence.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, it's a process. It's gonna take some time, but
Beautiful.
yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do there.
Yeah.
No guarantees. Nothing. Like, that's the problem. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna make this painting and it's gonna be fantastic and it's
Yeah.
gonna be. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna work on it and see what
Yeah.
happens.
But I think that's all you really can do. I mean, that's kind of how we feel about the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, like anytime we sit down to record, we honestly go with it into the mindset like, hey, we're going to try our best. And at the end, we'll kind of see how it turned out.
Yeah.
But during, we're kind of like, we're just kind of improvising, going with the flow,
Yeah.
trying to stay on topic or whatever it may be, you know?
Well, I think like that, that's what I appreciate about this, is because it does give us the kind of, like, the ability to kind of free flow and
Yeah.
kind of create, like, in the moment. Like, I never thought of myself as really good at improving, or is that a word? Or
Improvising.
Improvise. Thank you. Yeah, improving. What the heck, Highland? Um, but this podcast in essence for me is my chance to kind of just show up and just say whatever it is and just kind of go with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's been really rewarding because it's allowed me to go to places and kind of look at topics and look at the book and things like that, with that in ways that I never would have
Yeah.
been able to do otherwise.
Yeah, honestly, like the conversation about creativity is so interesting because I was at a point in my life for a while where I wasn't creating anything, and I kind of felt like I was doing a disservice to myself because I've grown up in a family that everyone is super artistic. They have all been really great at drawing from like a young age. Like my mom and dad both went to art school. My dad has like so many years of like sketching and like almost could be an architect, but doesn't have the actual training
Mm.
to be one. And then Emmett and Noah's a graphic designer, and whatnot. And we actually have a poster of his around here somewhere that I was going to hang up, but it's not reachable as of right now. So
It
that's
will
okay.
be hung up at
It
some
will be
point.
hung up. And then Emmett is in industrial design school. And so like throughout his life, he's always been drawing. So everyone has had this ability to be super creative. And I've been kind of the black sheep. I can't really draw. I like to doodle, but it's usually just triangles. There's a lot of triangles. Triangles are easy, man. They're fun. And what's cool is, and what I like about your message is that like it's okay. Like there's no mess ups. There's no you can whatever you're making is it can turn into something beautiful. It just kind of depends on your perspective. But what I was originally saying was, how I wasn't creative for a while. This is kind of my method of being creative. This
Yeah.
comedy and doing stand up and writing sketches and doing script writing is my form of creativity. And to find that has been very like life affirming.
Well, I tell you what, I think your ability to um like in this context within the podcast, I think your ability to keep the conversations going, because I think you have a very difficult partner. I think you have a very difficult task, right? One, to
I've been
keep
told that I have a difficult partner.
to keep me on task, and then to keep me like on message and just not talking complete nonsense and just kind of corralling the corralling cats.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know.
this is the brain I'm trying to corral right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think, but your abilities to not only manage this, but also to even like in creating the when you introduced the Rowan cam, and even the way that you utilize like switching back and forth, and just the way that you, I don't know, I see, and I see so many aspects that are so talented and so out of control. Like for me, like what the heck? I have no ability to even comprehend how to go about what you do. But I think that's the value, because it doesn't, creativity, I don't think is necessarily like, oh, you have to paint or
Yeah.
you have to write or you have to. Creativity and creating is,
I think it's just however you find a way to express yourself.
yeah, just to put yourself into the world.
Yeah.
Right. I think part of the magic of creating and relationships and things like that is creating a family.
Yeah.
Right. Creating relationships,
Yeah.
creating bonds with my students.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's so many ways, and I think that's a really important message. Is it, creativity and creating and putting yourself into the world isn't necessarily about doing something like, oh, I have to be able to see, or I have to be able to go to an art museum to see creativity, whatever.
Right.
I think creativity and creating is a concept that you really can experience. You do experience
Yeah.
at all moments of every day. But I think it's a concept that really is somewhat important, and it's absolutely vital to the human experience. I think without creativity, without creating, I think you are um experiencing life at a level that's less than desirable.
Yeah. To that point about not expressing yourself or being creative. So when I was in Chicago and I was struggling, we've talked about it, my dark time and whatnot. I wasn't doing anything creative. I just kind of like would consume other people's content, creation, whatever. And it made me feel like I should be doing more. And this is just for me personally. We're not trying to say that this is for everyone. Everyone has their own way of expressing themselves. But it made me start to be like, okay, I need to do something. So that's what made me start to get into stand up. That's what made me want to move to Minnesota to possibly get into production because I was like, okay, life's not going great for me right now. I'm not happy. I
Mm.
got to start doing the things that I think will make me happy.
Hmm.
A lot of learning curves there and some things happen, but now I'm back on that path, which has
Hmm.
been great and super exciting. And it just goes to show that like when you're in that slump and you're just like really sad, depressed, self-conscious, don't feel creative, someone says something really mean that kind of like shocks you to your core
Mm.
and makes you feel destroyed. It's super hard to create. And I was at a point where like I didn't feel like I could. And even the things I did create, like when I was at my lowest, that's when I first started doing stand up. You saw the first time.
Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
did.
good.
I don't. I
And that's
don't.
okay.
I don't want to see it again.
But I've worked on myself and I've developed a lot of confidence and I've gotten to a place where now I'm back to creating things and it's going well.
Well, I think for me, especially, and I think like I tend to kind of um, fluctuate quite a bit, right? Like there's days when life can be pretty tough. Even now, it's less of a roller coaster for sure. Like as I've gotten older, but there's days where not feeling great, and I think it's interesting to me because like on those days when things are not as positive, the creativity is doesn't flow
Right.
at all if it does, right? And I've kind of gotten to the point where I've almost I've almost and I don't know if this is true for everybody, and I think it's a kind of an interesting idea to look into, like the idea of the struggling artist.
Right.
Like if there's this idea where you almost have to struggle
Yeah.
to get to the point to have the creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that say, yeah, like if I don't struggle, then I don't have the ability to be
Yeah.
creative. And it's like I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I think that actually I don't agree with that, like as I've gotten older. But I also think that all of the experiences that I've had in the past allow me to be more appreciative and more thankful and more kind of willing to utilize and accept. Like I think one of the things that's really nice for me is when days are not exactly as I need them to be or whatever,
Hmm.
I can accept it and just be like, okay, this day is off,
Yeah.
right? This day I may a Saturday I may just sit in bed and whatever, and be okay with that.
Yeah.
And in essence, kind of say, okay, this day will be off, but this day will eventually allow me to do the things that
Yeah.
I want to do and be the person that I want to be.
Yeah. I agree with that. The point you were saying a little bit before that, I don't agree with that you
Oh,
have to struggle to
yeah,
find creativity.
yeah.
It reminds me of like comedians. A lot of
Oh,
comedians say like you have to be miserable to find some humor, right?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that having struggles and going through hard times helps you appreciate life more and find the humor in it and also the creativity.
Mm,
Right. So like going through my phase of Chicago and all the bad stuff that I went through has kind of given me the courage because I'm like, I went through a time where I like wasn't happy, wasn't having a good time. It sucked. And I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. I was making a lot of money, but like no happiness was in my life.
mm,
Now I'm in a position, I'm not making as much money, but I have freedom to do things that can help me be creative that have actually given me more life affirming things. But I don't think I need to be a miserable guy to like find the humor in life, right?
yeah.
Because and like Bill Burr, one of my favorite comedians, had talked about it, and It's that exact same saying. Someone said to him, when he was growing up and the comedy scene and whatnot, they were always talking about like it's super, everyone's like, don't get a wife, don't have kids, like it'll ruin your comedy, you won't be relatable, et cetera, et cetera. And to some regards, like some people become so famous that they can't be relatable, like when they're on a yacht and whatnot. You
Right.
can't like bring that up. Like, oh, everyone goes through that. But I don't think that, if you don't struggle, you can't be creative. I mean, there's people that live very kind of, but like that's the thing. Like it could be your own internal struggle,
Mm,
right? Like there's a lot of artists out there that like maybe are depressed or like have a lot of self hatred towards themselves,
mm.
but they express themselves and they by expressing themselves maybe battle that. I just think that self expression is my idea of creativity
Yeah, yeah.
and what I think is so important. And to relate back to what you were saying earlier, like it helps me with taking responsibility because anytime I go up and do stand up, it feels like I'm truly taking responsibility because it's something that I want and I like desire. And anytime I can kind of like create something like the podcast, I feel it just feels more life affirming, throwing your head in the right direction. You know where you're going, but you're in the right direction,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Well, I think that that brings up an interesting point. Like taking a risk,
Yeah.
I think is super life affirming.
Oh yeah.
And creativity, like putting anything into the world is absolutely taking a risk, right? And if you go through life, like if I had never, for me to do this podcast, I cannot even begin to put into
Yeah.
words how much of a freaking risk that was to me. Even like today, we were talking about like eventually getting a Highland cam, and I'm just like, oh God, are you kidding me? Like, no. And but these are all like risks that I'm going to take eventually. I hope later than sooner. Um, but I just feel like that's maybe that's the kind of the essence of it is like be willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
Like you will feel better. Like even if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
right? Even if like like I showed you the best canvases. There's so many canvases in my apartment that are just like I just want to take like a razor blade and just be like and just like be done with them. But even those, like there's value in there, right? Like just because you do step up and be like, okay, I tried it.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. And there's like 8 different layers of paint. Like I just tried to keep on like adding more and
Just
more.
turns brown.
Yeah, it's just like no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
And
that's a huge value.
I find that with stand up. I mean, every time I go up, I'm like essentially trying to be funny. There are times where I'm not funny or a joke that I wrote didn't work or a concept like I think is funny, but other people don't agree with. And it's like you have to fail. You have to make the mistakes to get to the place you want to go.
Oh, maybe that's another value.
Yeah.
Is like there are times when you're going to create something that you look at and it's going to be like, what
Yeah.
the heck?
Yeah.
That is a piece of trash, man.
A question to you though about that. So has
Okay.
there been anything that you've made that you're shameful of?
Um, oh man, that's a super good question. I mean, there's I've actually brought in canvases to the school to show students just because students always come and they're like, I'm so bad at this, or I can't do this or whatever. And um, I bring in these canvases, and I remember 2 twins, like they were like, I'm so bad at art, and and so that guy's like, hey, can I see some drawings and paintings or whatever? And they were doing paintings, and I was like, oh my god, that's so good. And they're like, "Ugh, like it's so bad, and um, so then I was like, well, if you want to see a bad painting, like I'll bring one in.
No.
And so they're like, oh, okay. And they were super excited. And I brought it in and they were in the lunchroom. And I brought it in and I like put it down on the table. And they just looked at each other and they're like, ooh. And like they were they were super nice. Like they didn't want to be like,
Didn't want to be too mean.
yeah, like Highland, this is really bad. But I was like, pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, that's really bad, Highland. And I was just like, that's the point, man. Like,
Yeah.
not everything is gonna be a masterpiece,
No.
right? It's okay to fail. It's way more okay to fail, like to try and to fail than to not try
Yeah.
at all.
I
Right?
think that's the kind of the point I wanted to get to with that question. It's like there's never been anything like podcasts we've created, all the stand up done. Like there's no shame behind it. Like, yeah, I look at it, I might cringe and be like, oh God, why'd you say that? That was so bad.
Yeah.
But I don't feel shameful. I'm like still proud that I did it at the time. Even if it's bad. I put myself out there. I tried. There's no shame behind it. And that's I think like finding something you can do and even fail at and not feel shameful for is huge
Well,
to
I
me at least.
think, yeah, not, like putting that into the context of the 1,000 subscribers is just like I feel able to. I would have never mentioned that number before because I would have just felt like that would have been tacky and boasting and whatever.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to the point where I have accepted that this podcast is not always great, and there are moments where I just cringe. Like I look at myself and I'm just like, oh God, what the heck? But like there's validation. Like there's like 1,000 people think it's good enough to hit the subscribe button, and maybe it's just a mistake. Maybe 1,000 people just hit the button
Yeah.
and whatever. But that doesn't even matter to me because I feel I feel proud of this. Like I know how much work has been put into it. I know the amount of dedication and the amount of kind of discipline and the amount of driving and just commitment that's
Yeah.
been made. And I feel proud of this. And if other people find value in it as well, awesome.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I find value in it.
Me too.
And that's enough.
Yeah.
And that's why I will continue to make the drive and continue to show up and continue to put out episodes that I don't feel super solid about.
Yeah.
That I think, man, they could have been better. Like we could have said this or that or whatever. But at the same time, just know hey, I'm I'm doing something. I'm creating this and I'm proud of it and I'm gonna continue to. And I think there's magic in that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We are on the same page and I want to continue to make these and excited to see, what happens after the next 1,000 or 10,000 subscribers. It'll be a
Yeah.
good time. So, um well, gang, we appreciate you watching and listening. Please give us a view on YouTube, or you can check out the video on Spotify so you can check out Highland's artwork. Just so you can at least see it. Highland, how can they get a hold of you to get it?
Oh,
Should they comment? Should they email? How should
yeah, you
we?
can. Well, yeah, if you have the time and the ability and the willingness to comment on YouTube, oh my God, that's the best. Like that's like the most life affirming. I just listen. I don't read them. Rowan reads them. I think he filters them out. Like
We do.
if they're bad, like he
Because
won't.
we're eventually, we only have 1,000, but eventually we'll get to a point like if we have 10,000 subscribers, there's gonna be people that are like, "Hey, this is bad," or they won't say it as nice as I just said it, but
Yeah. And he knows I have I'm like a delicate flower over
he's
here.
frail.
But yeah, so a YouTube comment would freaking make my day. Like I just love it. It just makes me smile and it just gives me all the feels. I love it. But if you want to contact me directly, it's hrmhelps@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. So if
Yeah.
you're interested, contact Highland. And don't forget, we also have an email, NopeOpePod@gmail.com. If you ever want to email us, comment on the YouTube. Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. And thank you to the 1,000 subscribers. And we're excited to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So,
And just be willing.
Yeah.
Like be creative. Be willing to put stuff out there. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like we would have never ever thought that
No.
we would be in this position.
No.
And we look forward to being in the next position.
Exactly.
Like I think that I don't see any reason that this can't like continue, and hopefully at some point we'll say 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Who knows?
100,000.
Well, we did hear from Dr.
Orion Teraband that apparently the statistic is like 0.06% of all YouTubers have 100,000. over 100,000 subscribers. So only 0.06% have over 100,000.
Yeah.
So to get there, very difficult, but we'll see if we can do it.
Well, even if we can't, we're still going to keep trying.
Still going to keep trying. Well, with that being said, gang, we appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one.